Hi everyone, I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Thank you for joining us for today's live Q&A, just like we are every Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. live on TikTok, immigration lawyer John, on Tuesdays on Instagram, JK Law Firm, and the video on YouTube where you can view it over again if you needed to. We're also here sometimes on Facebook, Mondays and Fridays live, Instagram Tuesdays and Thursdays, and on YouTube live on Wednesdays. So make sure to catch it here. As always, this is educational only. And so don't take it as case-specific information. You should consult with a lawyer in private about something like that. But we're going to get into some stuff here. Take your questions as they're coming live on these various media platforms. And I'm sure we'll talk about the travel ban that just popped up yesterday for non-immigrant visa holders and the extension of the immigrant visa holder travel ban. So with that, let's get it started. All right, just jumping on Instagram. We have some people jumping in. Thank you so much for coming, as well as on TikTok. It's a growing list right here. As people trickle in and start getting their questions ready, just a quick recap of what happened yesterday. President Trump announced a new travel ban, well, partially new. There was a previous travel ban for people applying for green cards, and those were supposed to be for 60 days at least. That's extended to at least the end of the year. It could go longer, it could go shorter if they change it, but they also added something for people that are H-1B visa holders, another H category, H-2B or something like that, the L-1 category, intercompany transfer, and many types of J-1 visa, people are interns, campus, what's it called, summer camp people, nurses, nannies, they call it au pair. So it's a huge limitation, but there are exceptions to it. For example, if you have a visa, I think either tonight or tomorrow night, that's valid of any kind, it doesn't apply to you. If you're physically in the United States, it doesn't apply to you. And so there are these kind of exceptions. If you're married to a U.S. citizen, it doesn't apply to you. So there's all these kind of things that do pop up, or a child of a U.S. citizen or stuff like that. So just keep an eye out. May not apply to you. Olivia asks, hi, I'm currently in the USA on an H-1B. Can I travel to the UK for a family emergency, then come back to the United States? Well, if you currently have a visa, Olivia, this new travel ban does not apply to you. However, there's another travel ban that was due to COVID-19 that does apply to you. And so if you go to the UK, what does apply to you? It applies to people who've been in the UK. You can't come to the United States until you go to a country that does not have a travel ban COVID-19. For example, you go from UK to, I don't know, Mexico, and wait in Mexico for 2 weeks, and then apply to enter the United States. But if you go to the UK as a simple H-1B holder, that COVID-19 travel ban will hit you and you won't be able to come back into the United States unless there's some exceptions. If you were in some sort of emergency job position, something that's really important that, it's, national security, for example, you could request an exception to this rule and come. That gets into case-specific kind of stuff. But generally, going to Europe, going to Schengen region, go to UK or Ireland, that will hit you with that travel ban unless you have an exception. If you're, for example, if you're married to a U.S. citizen, that won't apply to you. If you have a minor child that's a U.S. citizen, that may not apply to you. So you have to see what exceptions are there. It's hard, but that is the situation. You're saying I'm working on a COVID-19 vaccine. Oh, that's awesome. So that would probably something work, but you got to then jump through hoops to make sure they know about it. And work with either State Department or the CBP and that kind of stuff. That goes into more complex kind of stuff, but hopefully that helps and hopefully your family member feels better. I'm sorry to hear about that emergency. Okay, on Instagram, Fakeson asks, hi sir, good to see you. Good to see you as well. Thank you. My question is how this order affects EB3 process, and does perm process will be slow too for those who already filed. So this new travel ban does affect EB3 to a certain yes and no. So they're not issuing any green cards right now, so that's a thing that's going to slow it down. But at the end of this fiscal year, and I had this mistake, and I was talking to another attorney, and a friend was telling me if they don't issue a lot of family-based green cards that is shut down, those extras will go to employment-based. This is according to one of my friends who's a scholar on this told me about. I have to double check. And if they move those unused family-based green cards to the employment-based category, you'll see a huge jump happening in September in the employment-based. So that might be a good thing, but we'll have to see how that happens. Derek asks, is immigration ban affect F2A for spouse? Yes, it does, unfortunately. It affects it seriously. Hopefully your U.S. spouse becomes a citizen and an exception comes, but without that, you're stuck with the immigrant visa ban unless you can show that there's some sort of exception for that foreign spouse that makes them want to come here. Some emergency situation that you have to argue. Dole says, hi, is there a date yet set for embassy to open? No, there's never going to be a date set. Each country has its own rules and crackdown on the COVID-19 situation. So it really depends on that home country, that foreign country, how they're dealing with COVID-19, if they're going to open or not. You just have to check the U.S. Embassy website that you're dealing with and see what happens there. Wait for a notification from them. But there's never going to be a day where they'll say, this is open, because each case is different. Each country is different. It might open up in France, but it might not open in Germany. So that's that. So you can't really rely on that. Fahim says, hey, I got an interview date. Okay, fine. Which embassy did you get an interview date? And generally, what kind of visa category is it? I'd be glad if you could share that. We'll share with the other listeners as well. Najib says, I live in California. Are USCIS offices reopened? Again, it depends on which office you're looking for. For example, San Francisco, San Jose, that area is completely closed. Los Angeles field offices are opening, but they're open really for citizenship and only emergency cases. So this is, again, the thing you got to be careful. That's why lawyers have jobs, is because the devil is in the details, and it varies drastically. So in the question you asked, it has a lot to do with the type of case you have, case issues you may have, a location you are, and then a bunch of stuff that we don't even know about that's in control of the immigration office. So you just have to be patient and wait to get your turn. Fahim says, any suggestion for a conditional relative interview? So Fahim got a marriage-based interview, which is great. Which embassy is it? With regards to suggestions, I need to know more information. I mean, the public charge rule is something I have to prepare people for, how to deal with that, have the documentation. The public charge rule is something that was made more difficult by the administration, and the embassies might look into that. But also, I need to look at your personal documents to see what it is. But I'd be interested to hear which embassy it is that opened up that's doing your interview. I'm sure a lot of people would be, if you feel comfortable sharing that. Spain. So, okay, Spain embassy is opening apparently. So that's right there, some information. I know France is is scheduling interviews for July. Apparently Spain is as well. But, China isn't. So, that's the thing. You don't know. You just got to check the websites and communicate with the embassy. That's the best way to do it. Paul asks, can people apply for DACA? Well, you could defer to actual child arrivals. You could definitely do an extension request. That's okay. A new DACA who hasn't done it before, they're supposed to be able to based on the way the Supreme Court made a decision, but we're waiting on USCIS to give us guidance on how that is. They may reject the case if you submit it, but if you don't mind giving it a shot, then give it a shot. Maybe apply for advanced parole as well, if that's possible. They may or may not prove that. Miad asks, my marriage green card was in March. I'm guessing your interview. And the office was closed. Is the new decision affect me? It depends on which office you meet. If it's with USCIS, no. If you're in the United States, this new decision don't affect people from within the United States. Miat says, my husband is a citizen. So probably not. Fine. So all green cards for foreign aliens are not banned? No, there are exceptions to that. If you're married to a U.S. citizen, there's an exception. And there's various exceptions. You got to see what's going on with your case. Fine. Ask, is it easy to get approved from Spain? It's not about easy or hard. It depends on your case and what kind of background issues you have. So it's not the way to look at it. The way you look at it is what's going on with your case. And then there's always luck with who the person is that you're dealing with. And that could be just anybody. Santos, is President Trump stop I-130s? No, they haven't stopped I-130s. It's just the final decision for people going through consular processing. Ejaz says, hi, sir. Nice to see you. Is EB4 visa category affected in any way? I don't really do EB4 categories. And the EB4 category has so many subparts to it. But it probably is affected by the travel ban, but it really depends on which type of EB4 you're doing and what kind of exceptions may apply to you. So you should consult with an attorney. User 49 says, H4 visa interview still open. Again, it depends on whether you qualify for one of the exceptions to the new travel ban or not, whether your H4 visa will happen, interview will happen or not. So it really is case specific with regards to your background to see if one of the exceptions apply to you. Goldshake asks, has the citizenship process been resumed in Massachusetts? I don't know about your local field office, probably, but maybe contact some local attorneys in Massachusetts who deal with that field office more and know what the processing is. I usually deal with West Coast offices, so I have an eye on those. But Massachusetts, I don't have a direct information on. Alexander 20305 says, got a pending adjustment of status and currently out of status. Would it be a problem if you get pulled over? It could always be a problem. There's no guarantees. And it depends on why you're getting pulled over too. So there's just too many factors. Just try not to get pulled over. That's the best thing you can do. But once we go into it, there's a lot of little things we have to go to answer. Find Mass on Instagram. After the interview, how long I have to wait for an answer? It's not clear. 1 day, 2 day, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, or they deny it. It really depends on your case and your background, your issues. Usually it's pretty quick, but it could be anything. User 152 says, is USCIS going to waive citizenship interview? Absolutely not. The citizenship is never going to be waived. That's a requirement. What's the new ban? My husband also says is waiting just on his appointment, but if they're not open, he would not get an appointment. Yeah, exactly. If they're not open, not getting an appointment, so you have to wait for an appointment to open up. Elisha says, I'm having an asylum visa. How can I switch to business visa? What should I do for a green card? I've been here for 6 years, still in interview. It's going to be almost impossible for you to switch to a business visa, but this is a really complex kind of question you're asking. So, consult an attorney private, but if you've been here for 6 years, it's going to be hard for you to switch to a business visa. You have to leave the U.S. and come back. So there's a lot going on there. It's not a question we can answer here. Sherry says, students trying to change their status from OPT to H-1B within the U.S. will get affected or not. No, that travel ban does not affect people from within the United States. So you can do change of status if you could apply. That's only if you need to go outside the U.S., get a visa to come in. And if you're already in the United States with either a valid visa or you're physically here, the new travel ban does not apply to you. So it's very nuanced. You got to get very comfortable with this kind of stuff. Olivia asks, my H-1B expires in March 2022. When can I ask my company to start a green card application, or do I have to start the process myself? So if you have an H-1B and you want your employer to apply for a green card for you, it's a great question. There's 3 parts of the process. The first 2 are started and paid for and dealt with by the employer. So it's up to them. And there's no when to get started, like the sooner the better. So if you feel comfortable asking your employer wants you, it's really if your employer wants to hire you. It's not if you want to ask them for it. But if you talk with them and they're interested in applying for you, then they'll start the process. They should have an attorney probably, and they'll do it. But the sooner you get started, the better it is. Yeah, that's that. Fine, Matt, should I book my ticket? Book your ticket, come to US? No, you got to wait for your visa to get approved and then book your ticket. They say that in all the paperwork that they send you. Canetta asks, can a case which is going on administrative processing be expedited? No, at that point it's not expedited. I mean, there's things you do, file a lawsuit and try to see if you could make the answer what their administrative processing issue is, but it really depends on the reason for administrative processing, but it's not really an expedited kind of situation. Okay, user 493 asks, I am in the USA. I'm planning to go to India and marry my wife and bring her here H4. Though that's not going to happen. They won't give you H4 until next year if they get rid of this travel ban. So that's that. Unless your wife already had a B1 visa or B2 visa or something like that, or she was in the United States right now or something like that. Alexander, is there a hold on marriage-based green card? No, I did a video on this. If you go to JK Law Firm, there's no hold within the United States of marriage-based green cards. There's a hold on giving interviews, so essentially it's a hold, but it's just because of COVID-19. And then there's holds overseas because of COVID-19 and shutdowns. But that they're opening up, and potentially, depending on what kind of marriage it is, your marriage U.S. citizen, there'll be an exception. It gets complicated, but you should just move your case forward. Whether there's hold or not doesn't make a difference. You should submit your case and move it forward. There's so many different variations on this case that it's impossible to properly answer your question the way you've asked it. That's why you got to be very specific in the questions that you ask. Goldie Boss says, unmarried son over 21 of U.S. citizen. Is Trump's suspension applies to me? Yes, it does. Yeah, adult son of a U.S. citizen, it does. So, you won't get an embassy interview. Now, I don't know where you are, if you had a B2 visa before, so there's exception. I don't know what kind of work you're doing. It can apply to you. That's why, I can't give this case-specific information because there's other facts about your personal life I need to know. And I don't want to say something where you go by and all of a sudden say, oh, John, give me bad information. So it can apply to a person that's an adult child of a U.S. citizen, but it depends on your background and your case, and I can't say it here. That's why it's general educational stuff only. It's not case specific. BJ249 says, is it true that I-485 case getting hold? Go to my YouTube page, JQK Law Firm, and I have a video that describes this in detail. That's a place to go over this because I don't want to miss something. I do a good job there of covering this issue. Just check out the case. It says green card suspended or hold or something like that as a title. You'll see it on the thumbnail as well. Go to that and check it out. That should answer your question. Santoshi says, my I-130 is approved and I'm a citizen and waiting for my husband to process. Is there any chance to stop? So you want to stop the case? It depends on where it is in the process. But yeah, if you get divorced or you just pull it back, it may be able to stop it. I don't know. But talk with a lawyer. That's a way to go about something like that. Official Raj says, is there a ban on I-130 for spouse filed in 2019? The ban is not on the I-130. Its ban is on issuance of visas. And so whether the visa could be issued or not depends on the background of your spouse overseas or your spouse in general, where they are, what they've done, what their relationship is. There's a lot of factors. So I don't know. I don't really know. Faison asks, do you have any experience on Section 13 in which diplomats unable to go back to country apply residency here? Yeah, I did one a couple years back. We have to check out the case. We have to see what kind of employee you were of the embassy or consular office, if you're a proper employee. and then we submit it. There's a limited number of these every year that can be submitted, so there's a limit on that. But you can just schedule a consultation in my office and we can look into it. Okay, so Goldie Boss, I have a 601 waiver approved, just waiting on immigrant visa. And so you're overseas, Goldie Boss, and so that's gonna be a problem. I mean, it depends on your relationship and stuff like that. You might have to wait. The embassy's already closed right now anyways, depending on which embassy you're looking at. So there's a lot going on there. You should definitely consult with an attorney. If you have a 601A approved, you probably have an attorney, so just talk with them. Laxma says, could you give me information about green card through nursing on F1 OPT? So if you're on F1 as a student visa, OPT is a period of time that you can stay and work in the United States after you graduate. So that's good if you have that. If you have an employer that wants to apply for nursing for you, that's a great way to go. There's a nursing shortage in the United States. And because of that, they've said that there's a special category for nurses that kind of streamlines it. So what you need to do is consult with your employer already. If they're a hospital, for example, they already have an immigration attorney. They look into it. So if your employer is interested in applying for your green card, they'll get it started and communicate with you what you need to know about that. Neural says, I got married last year and filed an I-130 for my wife. And I live in Texas, but they send California. Why? They distribute these cases in various what's called service centers. And if one's busy, they send it to another one. It doesn't mean anything. I mean, some take longer, some take shorter, but it just, they randomly, for some reason, put it in California Service Center instead of the Texas Service Center. Nothing for you to really spend time thinking about. You just gotta wait. Alexander says, does processing date start from the day you mail your files to you, or the day USCIS receives it? 3 months difference. There's a priority date on the receipt. So when the priority date is, or the date received, that's when they start. Now, who knows? They say they received it, and some officer sits on it and doesn't start for 3 months. Who knows? So you just gotta wait. Now that's it. Now, if you're looking for a priority date that goes for the visa bulletin and the line and all that, then that's that. But with regards to the nuance of what you want, it doesn't matter. Just be patient and wait it out. Fahim asks, my qualification certificate needed in interview CR1. It wouldn't hurt. I got to see which qualification it is, but what I'm doing now is having people get it translated, get an equivalency to the U.S. to show it's the same kind of certification that they would have in the United States for that job, to show that you can find work here, maybe get an English test to show they speak English fluently. These are not specific requirements, but I would do those to be safe. There's extra costs and time associated with it, but that's the kind of stuff under this new public charge rule I would do to make it safer. And they may not ask it for you, so I can't guarantee that it makes a difference. Nuri asks, and can you tell how long wait for approval? You go to uscis.gov, they'll give you some timelines there, but there's no real timeline you can wait on. I give general timelines, but I need to know your case, so I don't like going into timeline kind of questions. 6-9 says, U.S. citizen charging me $25,000 to marry me. Good deal? No, crime doesn't pay. Momita says, I heard that only people married to American citizens will only get approved. That's not only them, but that's going to be a large part of them. That's one of the major exceptions. Martha on Instagram asks, can I apply for a green card with new ban? I'm in States. Yeah, the new ban does not affect people who are inside the United States. So you could, this ban at least doesn't affect you. Santoshi says, after approved I-130, how long it takes to be U.S. for my husband. For Pakistan, I'm a citizen. I don't know. Pakistan is a very difficult embassy to deal with. So there's no clear timeline. You might go into what's called administrative processing. So, hopefully less than a year, but I don't know. It could take longer, especially if you get administrative processing. Ad Singh says, embassy asked for proof and I submitted for mother-in-law. Fees has been submitted. Still travel ban effect? Yeah, travel ban is going to affect the parent of a U.S. citizen. So it doesn't matter. NBC is just a matter of collecting documents. They don't issue the visa. So that problem exists. Huam says, if my spouse visa got approved already and I already passed all the financial and civil docs, if your spouse visa is approved, you have the visa stamp in your passport. That is not a green card. So depending on if you're married to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, that can make a big difference for this travel ban. If you're married to a green card holder, unfortunately, the ban might apply to you, or depending on what country you're in or visiting. Alexander asks how to deal with an I-765 out of the updated processing time. So the I-765 is a form for employment authorization in the United States, what's called the EAD, or commonly known as a work visa. So you submit form I-765 depending on some ability to be able to work. You might have a L1 that allows you, or L2, a spousal L1 that allows your H4, or you apply for a marriage green card case. You file for this. It's been taking much longer than it used to be. It used to take 2 or 3 months to get these done. Sometimes it takes 6 or 7 months. If it's outside of the processing times listed on USCIS, you go to their website, there's a button you press, an info you fill out that says, some of these cases outside the processing times, please take a look. And you submit that and you wait 30 days. If you get no response, then try calling them and see what's going on after 30 days. If still no response, try contacting a local congressperson for them to follow up and look into it for you to see if they can expedite it. Unfortunately, the EADs do take longer than usual, but that's that. Hopefully, you have your fingerprints, and sometimes they said, I think they've waived the fingerprinting requirement, but they may or may not have. So there's a lot of things going on here, but if something is officially outside processing times, first and foremost, contact USCIS and notify them of this. And sometimes, within a day it gets fixed, sometimes it doesn't. But that's the way to go on something like that. Matthew says, how much does the sponsor need to be making in effect a public charge? It depends on other factors, family size, household size, and stuff like that. So I would say consult a lawyer, look in detail. It varies, and then you got to look into some more stuff, especially if you have a joint sponsor and a foreign national background as well. User 646 asks, I am husband in Canada. I applied for his petition. So you have a husband in Canada, you applied for his petition, and we are so close, so this ban is going to affect. Well, it depends if you're a U.S. citizen or not, if it'll affect you. But as a Canadian, there's more stuff going on. I really suggest contacting and consulting with an immigration lawyer in private to discuss your case. There might be some chain differences. Shalom asks, I'm in the U.S. H-1 just approved. Visa has expired. Do I get visa if I step and come back out? Because you're in the United States on June 23rd, 24th, this time right here when it's passed, this new travel ban does not apply to you. So you can go out and get a visa to come back in. Now you got to make sure an officer understands the nuances of this rule, but it will not affect you. But also there's COVID-19 travel ban. So if you go back to India, for example, actually India doesn't have a travel ban. If you go to Brazil or China, it will affect you in different ways. So there's just a lot going on there that you need to look at. But generally, if you're in the United States or you have a valid visa on the 23rd, 24th in that time, then you don't have a problem. Patel says, is there a way for illegal parents of a U.S. citizen-born child who is disabled? Very rarely, cancellation, removal, or something like that. You should consult an attorney in private, but it's going to be very difficult. They've made it so you can't really get status to a child unless the child's 21 or something like that. So maybe after many years, but if they didn't enter with the visa, they didn't overstay, they literally entered without permission, and it's gonna be very hard to do something unless some sort of exception exists for you. Navi says, green card holder can travel to Mexico without passport. That's Mexican rules, Mexican immigration law. I can't answer that. Ziggy says, hi, I'm Ziggy. I just got approved in the I-751 today. Wonderful. And now I'm waiting for the F-400. I have to wait. Yeah, you have to wait, but congratulations, you got the I-751 done, Ziggy. How long did it take you to get the I-751 completed, how to get it approved? Let me know. Baluch says, is it okay to apply for citizenship without a lawyer? You can do whatever you like. It's not a matter of being okay or not, but it is up to you. But I would want to be safe and talk to a couple lawyers to review my case to see what's going on. There's complicated things you may not be aware of that will get you in big trouble. I don't mean to scare you. Most cases will be just fine. But if you can afford it, you should go talk to at least 2 or 3 immigration lawyers. Some do free consultations. Have them review the case to see if there's any red flags, and then make a decision from there. But your question is not, it's up to you at the end of the day what you want to do. Prode says, hello, sir. What it means my immigration visa petition returned to USCIS possible verification. Oh, that's horrible. That means the embassy thought there was a major issue with your case, that you're not qualified for the visa. You hopefully had an immigration lawyer, because they would have tried to deal with that then quick. But at this point, 100%, you got to consult the immigration attorney. It's a really bad situation. That's what that means. So consult with a lawyer in private. Goldie Bottle says, sir, what if my mom is having anxiety and depression, having her surgery is scheduled twice, exempt? Having a surgery and sickness will be public charges, so that's not really positive. But it depends. We gotta see what's going on. It's very case specific. Again, I can't answer that. Sharon says, hi, any update on timeline you have seen for cases I-7751, call service centers? Thanks. So it varies. My cases for I-751 get done between 7 to 12 months, but other people's take a year and a half, 2 years. So it just depends on your case and who's dealing with it. You're welcome, Alexander. Okay, I'll do one more question, then I'll be back again tomorrow, Wednesday, on YouTube. I'll be there live, and on TikTok, Immigration Lawyer John, as always. And you catch a recording for this and future episodes, past episodes, clips, other types of videos. I do all this kind of stuff on YouTube, so that's the place to go, JQK Law Firm for YouTube. Momi asks, are they accepting new applications for DACA? Not yet officially, so we'll see. Some people are going to try to just submit it to see what happens, but no official word on if they're going to accept DACA applications yet, and how they're going to deal with that. So it's all wait to be seen. Thank you so much for everyone who joined today. It was a pleasure speaking with you all. Just come back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific. I'll be here at Immigration Lawyer John, JOHN, on YouTube. The recording will be there. Tomorrow I'll be live on YouTube. And Instagram, JK Law Firm. I post copies of approval notices I have there, copies of reviews, all this kind of stuff. So not only should you go to the JQK Law YouTube page, you should also go to JK Law Firm, and firm for that one too, Instagram page. You get different information. I share different things, different places to keep you on your toes. So definitely join all of them to get the latest information. Thank you, everyone. God bless. Be safe. We'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.